Hello and welcome to episode 7 of The Finals. This week we have Foundations Draft, running back the same matchup as last time, where Liam, this time on green-white mid-range, and myself on blue-white flash flyers.
You must be feeling pretty confident playing the person you beat last time we did a draft.
You think so, especially as Liam doesn't have access to his Act of Treason, his invitational card this time, not playing red.
But that being said, Liam is still a very, very strong player, so
Very
some
good.
nerves.
There is. He mulls to 5 in game 1, so that helps me feel a little bit more confident about the game.
Never a nice feeling.
No, definitely not.
Especially not in limited, like you've said before.
As I've said, and on the play. I play a second land past the turn, and I'm a bit disappointed to see a Helpful Hunter because my plan is to flash in the Cathar Commando, which the Helpful Hunter is a very good blocker.
Yeah, it gets rid of your free one and he draws a card. Yeah. It's a nice trade for him. But luckily you Fleeting Distraction.
I did have a couple of these. These cards are very good, quite versatile. Worst case scenario, you just cycle them away.
Following up with a Healer's Hawk. And if I remember correctly, you had 5 1-mana flyers this
I
draft,
had 3 Healer's Hawks and 2 of the uncommon 1/1 that draws a card.
Spectral
Sailor. You always remember the card names. They're good. Liam plays a Dazzling Angel, which I have 3 of those in my deck as well.
Oh wow, fantastic! Yeah, that's 3 of one of the best commons in white.
I believe so. Yeah, there's white has a lot of good commons in this set. It's very deep, so it's not surprising that multiple
you're playing
white drafters can be
your
supported.
First Dazzling Angel, second seen so far in this game. And how are you feeling at this point in the game? Do you remember?
Confident again. Multi 5. I'm playing a lot of flyers. It's a little bit annoying that he's stonewalling my Healer's Hawk with his own Dazzling Angel, but
Dazzling Angels do kind of block each other quite well.
Yes, they just kind of bounce off each other. Liam's also missed land drops for some of this game as well, so it doesn't feel particularly difficult.
He's playing a Nessian Hornbeetle. Beginning of combat, if he has a creature with power 4 or greater, another creature, which he doesn't at the moment, he gets a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, strong card. The +4 power deck in this format seems very well supported.
I've not really got to play this card myself, so I'll see how it plays in this game.
I remember it from, I thought I remembered it from when it was around before. I can't remember the set it was in now.
Nessian makes me think Ferals.
Oh, quite possibly, yeah.
But I could be getting my lore very wrong.
No, that sounds good.
So here I think he just trades it.
Yeah, I offer the trade. I'm quite happy to trade my 3/1 for his 2/2 that's likely to get bigger later on in the game.
The +4/+4 counter deck is more green, or 4 power.
It's green red,
yes. Not green white. So maybe it's just kind of a filling gaps in this deck.
It can do, yeah.
So you've played the third Dazzling Angel so far, second in your deck, before following it up with the Gold Vein pick. And this is a card that you were talking about it before building your deck. I don't read it as very good. Am I underrating it?
I think the fact that it's equip 1 is what makes it strong.
Sure. You can keep moving it around.
You keep moving around, and you get treasure from it. So you get the mana to move it around, and you get the mana to do other things, to play something a turn early, to maybe fix if you've got more than 2 colours in your deck. But I think you don't just put it into every deck. I think my deck has lots of flyers. As I said, I've got 5 1-drop flyers. I think this is the kind of deck that you want it in.
You can make good value of it.
Yeah, when you've got evasive creatures, I think that helps a lot.
It's quite powerful here as well, because when you've got the 2 Dazzling Angels facing off against each other, it means you're one stronger, he can't block it.
You break the parity there, yeah, that's good.
So yeah, as you said, you've taken quite an early lead here. Above your starting life total, Liam's down to 14.
It feels strong from here. Liam plays another 2-mana 2/2 that has kicker, but can't afford the kicker at the moment.
But it does still have the static ability to give creatures with counters on them trample.
Yes, which is strong. And when it is kicked, it's 4 power, which is relevant. And here, this is one of the stronger green commons, the Cackling Prowler. So triggers Morbid at the end of each of Liam's turns. If a creature died on either side of the field, that it gets
1/+1/+1 counter.
1/+1/+1 counter.
And it has Ward 2 as well, which is very relevant.
Even better. For a common, this seems crazy to what you would have seen a few years ago for 4 mana at common.
But is it enough for him to bring back the
game? It's pretty strong. Yeah. It's pretty strong.
So you just run back the same attack you did last turn. He only has a Dazzling Angel, does the same block as last turn. He takes 3, goes down to 12, and you make another treasure. So you've got quite a lot of mana here. Let's see what you use.
Yeah, another land. we play?
Squad Rallier. This is a really good card when you've got lots of lands. It's just a really good mana sink to just get you that card advantage. I think
Yeah.
Is it 3 mana to activate?
3 mana to activate, finds a creature with power 2 or less, which is almost every creature in my deck.
In the top 4?
Possibly in the top 4, yeah.
Top
I'll say
4, yes. Yeah, it's top 4, I just checked.
So something else to do with all that treasure mana as well.
Yes.
So converting it into cards.
So Liam's thinking here. I believe, having spoken to him, he's thinking because he's got a Day of Judgment in hand. And
Yeah, I
he's-
was going to talk about that. Sorry to jump in.
No, go ahead.
Because I had the read on him on that. I don't know if it's this turn, but he makes an attack which is highly suspicious, which makes me think that he has the Day of Judgment.
So I do we mute the audio of the gameplay actually, but when I was watching this back, you say Wrath of God.
Yeah, I said a bad habit. I tend to think through my lines out loud.
Sure. Well, actually, it was actually in a second when he taps his mana.
This is it. This is the attack.
This is the turn.
Because it doesn't make any sense for him to attack with the Dazzling Angel because it blocks so well. It stops my Healer's Hawk from attacking at all, and it can easily block my second Dazzling Angel. So this attack just screams at Wrath.
Yeah, effectively, it's saving him free life and stopping you gaining a life by stopping the.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. It's doing a lot more on defense than it is on offense. So the only reason to attack with it would presumably be because he's playing to Wrath the board.
So did you consider like chumping with the Healer's Hawk if you thought he had the Wrath? Just to gain that extra life and prevent yourself taking 2 more damage from the Flyer?
I guess it's always possible that I could be wrong. You have to consider that
Sure.
possibility. I think I block the.
It's also it's possible he doesn't have the second planes, but then he wouldn't be doing this attack, I guess.
Yeah, he's likely building up to that. But I block the
big
morbid
one.
the
Yes,
morbid
yeah,
guy
yeah.
because I want to trade with that anyway.
Sure, before it can start growing, you can't
Exactly,
trade.
and it gets out of range, and I get to draw a card off my Squad Rallier, so it's kind of a good trade for me.
And he just plays another one.
He just decides to play another one.
And
yes.
this is the moment where you said Wrath of God, when he tapped the 4 lands.
Right. Okay.
But it wasn't the Wrath of God, not yet.
We talked about it afterwards in the game, and he did say that he thought about playing it that turn.
So-
But perhaps if I'd blocked differently, maybe he would have played. I don't know.
So when I was talking to him, because I had a brief discussion, he said he thinks this is the biggest misplay he makes. The reason he attacked the way, the reason he played it is because he was trying to get you to bring in the Cutthroat first.
Right. I see. Interesting.
Because if he Wrath of Gods and you just flash in the Cutthroat, you can already start swinging in for more damage.
Exactly.
Quite low life. So
Exactly.
I understand the logic of not playing it.
Yeah, now, knowing that I can flash in a creature immediately kind of, as you say, it adds a drawback to the Wrath that you don't really want. So where are we here? Liam's taken his turn. I've attacked him down to 7. So again, I'm feeling confident. I can gain 2 life pretty much whenever I want with the flash creature. I don't really mind if Liam attacks me here particularly.
The life total is just so high already.
Exactly, and I can keep chipping away at him in the air. So he does attack for 4, 5, 6, 7.
And I believe you have to take it, but you don't flash in you don't flash in the Brightmon Cutthroat.
Doesn't seem worthwhile doing it at this point. If I'm not going to block with it, there's no point flashing in.
And I think he
in
wanted
anything
you to
other than
flash
his
it in
end step.
so he could Wrath of God.
Right,
this turn.
yeah, but it wouldn't make sense to flash it in outside of his end step unless I'm planning to use it in combat.
I know you've got another instant in hand, but if you flash it in and then cast the other instant, it still has 2 toughness, so it still only trades with the 2/2.
Yeah, exactly.
So Liam's thinking, I think he's got the Wrath of God. The card he's playing now is Banishing Light, which obviously he's waiting because you might have a counter spell, but you kindly let it resolve.
I did have a refute in the deck, and it's sensible to, when you have a blue player, to allow them to have priority when you've got a spell on the stack.
So he Banishing Light's the angel that has the pick on it. Obviously you've got enough mana now that re-equipping doesn't feel too...
It doesn't
matter much, but...
I think at this point I started to wonder whether I was right about the Wrath of God, because I wouldn't expect him to play a single targeted removal spell
when he has a
if
Wrath,
he has a Wrath
yes.
in hand.
Maybe it's just wanting to do something with his mana, trying to delay it that extra turn.
Perhaps, yeah.
So this is Uncharted Voyage, putting his Dazzling Angel on top or bottom of his library.
Which is just lethal, yeah.
Yeah.
So it finishes the game. Perhaps Liam should have Wrath that turn and kept himself alive for a little bit
You
longer.
must feel good going to game 2 there.
Well, yeah, and I think I kind of missed the fact that he had mulliganed. I shouldn't never underestimate Liam. He's in the final for a reason. His deck is going to be strong. I think I had a strong performance in game 1, but it's worth remembering that he did mulligan to 5.
Well, let's see how game 2 goes.
See how game 2 goes.
Welcome back to game 2 of episode 7 of the finals. So Adam, you won game 1.
Yep.
So Liam, presumably is on the play, I imagine?
He's on the play, yeah, and I've taken a mulligan. I'm just showing that I'm putting an island back from my hand. I've got a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a very, very powerful 7-drop, so I decided that's sort of okay to keep.
And did Liam keep his 7, do you know?
Liam kept his 7, and now that we know what it is, post-game, it is a pretty strong 7. He's got the cantrip on 2, and he's got other 2-drop and 3-drops to play into.
Was the 7 mana card your pack 1, pick 1?
No.
No. When did you get that in the draft?
I think it was pack 2.
Your pack 2, pick 1?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. As long as you weren't past it, I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my pack 1 pick 1 was something like Stab. I think I had a couple of black cards to begin with, but black didn't pan out in the draft.
Unsurprisingly, it's one of the better colours.
You always got to keep open. Yes. Tell us about your draft.
Oh God, I don't want to talk about my draft. Oh God, I don't want to talk about my draft. So my draft actually went really, really amazingly, I felt, after the draft had finished. I pack 1, pick 1, Authority of the Consoles. The idea being I think it's a really strong card.
Yeah.
Pack 2, I get past a Coma, which is a card I don't think I should ever be being past.
No,
but
very strong.
I'm really struggling to not take it, so I take it. I stay quite open, building like a white-black life gain deck and also like a blue-green rampy deck. And in pack 1, I get a couple of Zombifies. Pick 2 of pack 2, I'm past an insane mythic, which I'll come back to in a second. And I'm just thinking, man, with the Coma and this mythic, I've got a reanimated deck building itself.
Yeah.
So I focus on just taking the Strix Lookout that you've played here, Surveil cards, and I get, I think, 3 or 4 Zombifies in the end.
Very good.
So I've got the perfect reanimated deck.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my other bomb is Progenitus, which, if you're thinking Progenitus, you're thinking 10 mana, 10/10, pro everything. That's what I think of when I think Progenitus. So I'm never going to cast it, I'm only reanimating it. It's not until game 3 of round 1, someone sat next to me points out that I can't do that. I'm like, why not? And I read Progenitus, and if it would go to the graveyard, it gets shuffled away instead.
It has a replacement effect, a very relevant one.
So I actually did okay. I went 1/1/1, which I'm pretty happy with for a deck that I really, really fumbled building. Basically, Coma is a really strong card. I had Grow from the Ashes, the 3 mana, or Pump for 5. So basically, I can turn 5 play that, and turn 6 I can play Coma.
Yeah.
And if Coma hits once, I basically feel like I win every game.
It makes sense. I think you do win the game if you hit with Coma.
So it's quite funny. When I got home from the draft, I messaged our FNM WhatsApp group and said, never speak about this again. And then I sent a photo of Progenitus placed in my bin, which I then immediately took out of my bin.
Yeah, I thought that was just for show.
Yeah, 100%.
So when we're talking about the game, that's totally my fault for derailing the conversation.
No, it's okay. I had to get embarrassed on camera, even if I'm not in the game.
I actually wasn't referring to that as much, although I'm glad you talked about that. Yeah. But more of the staying open to black, because I believe you also drafted around black for staying open for a combo, which didn't quite pan out.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So I drafted, I got 2 or 3 copies of the whenever an opponent loses, whenever you gain life, an opponent loses 1 life.
One life, yeah.
I was just thinking, if I get the mythic, I get the combo.
Yeah.
And this card otherwise isn't terrible in a white-black life gain deck.
Yeah.
If I can get several ways to gain life, I can hit them for 1. Obviously, you pack 1, pick 1, Authority of the Consoles. It means whenever they play a creature, I gain, they lose 1. I ended up obviously cutting white. I went black, blue, green because I was really focused on the reanimator strategy.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I wish I was never past that Progenitus. It would have been a different game.
It would have been a different game. But I think the interesting thing is talking about like staying open to things. I think that it's a good idea to stay open to colours and strategies that are strong, but I think you need to be prepared to abandon them fairly quickly if it's not looking like it's panning out.
It's definitely something I've tried doing more recently. I used to basically go, pack 1, I open this good rare, I'm building around this now.
Which a lot of people do.
Sometimes it works out, but you almost have to kind of get lucky that way.
It's what used to be called in the old days drafting the easy way. You can draft the easy way, you can draft the hard way. The easy way is to put your blinkers on and just draft what you want to draft. And sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. The hard way is to draft what's open.
Was that Frank Carston?
I can't remember the player who said that, but it was something that's often referred to. Magic. Anyway, sorry, we're looking at the game that's
Yes.
actually playing. I've got a couple of flyers in play. I've got the 2-1 looter and the 1-1 that can play 4 mana to draw a card. Liam's got his
Dazzling Angel,
Dazzling
Helpful
Angel
Hunter, and the Ward to
Yes.
Prowler, which he's used to Felling Blow your Scout Rallier.
I think we've missed the turn that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit,
Okay.
but there was an interaction where Liam killed one of my creatures and attacked with his morbid guy, you know the name of.
Crawling Prowler.
Yeah, and then I decided to block with my Healer's Hawk. The Healer's Hawk was stonewalled in the air and couldn't attack anyway.
Sure.
And since Liam was already going to get a morbid trigger,
You might as well throw it away
I
now.
might as well
for
throw it
the
away
damage.
now and rather than waiting till later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Liam's kind of all over me this game. I've not done much. I said I kept a sort of 1-drop, 2-drop, and a 7-drop, hoping to draw something to play in between, you know, those
Yeah.
two ends of the game. But I really don't pressure Liam at all this game. He's got a very well developed board.
So when I was watching this game back, I was really confused as to why Liam played the way he did this turn. So he's before combat played a Prideful Parent, moved to combat and attacked, and after combat he plays another Prideful Parent. And I couldn't understand why he didn't play both before combat or both after combat.
Right.
I believe the reason he played one before combat was so that he'd gain life with the Dazzling Angel, and then attacks, holding up mana to show his interaction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then he plays the other one afterwards when he shows the path is clear.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense, but it confused me for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got interaction, you want to hold it up, and I think if you think that your Dazzling Angel might die to a combat trick, I suppose it makes sense to get the life gain in while you can. It maybe doesn't make a huge amount of sense considering what the life totals are. I think Liam could afford to miss out on a couple of life and would still be doing quite well in this game.
You've played another Spectral Sailor?
Yeah, the redundancy doesn't really help. You can't really, activate both of them.
No, but you can chump block with both of them.
Indeed. And
now-
here, this is my Hail Mary. This is the thing I'm hoping will win me the game.
First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample,
All the keywords.
Reach, Lifelink, Ward Pay 7 life.
Yeah.
Seems very good in an Odric deck.
And all I'm thinking is that if Liam doesn't kill it now, I could win this game if Liam doesn't just untap and kill it.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, one attack puts you back up to 15,
Yes.
which means that the life totals are much more even. And it might trade with a bunch of his creatures, but at least you get a bunch of his creatures off the board.
Exactly.
Definitely giving you a chance to claw back.
Difficult to trade with because of the first strike.
How did this card play in all your other games?
Extremely strong because of that you effectively have to put like 14 power and toughness in front of it to be able to trade with it in combat because the first strike eats away so many creatures. The other thing I'm thinking is that if he doesn't kill it now, it means he has to top deck a removal spell, so I'm probably in the clear to get a couple of turns in with it and then really sort of run away with the game. But after what feels like an inordinately long time, Liam finally decides, actually, I will play a removal spell
Makes
and
sense.
kill the Mythic.
Again, Crawling Prowler is the card he's using to use the Felling Blow, which he's managed to get to up to 7 power now.
Yeah.
Must feel bad for you, and it's unfortunate because again, pay 7 life Ward feels like a lot unlimited, but again, the Dazzling Angels have managed to gain him back up again.
It is, and I'm not pressuring his life total,
No.
which means that the ward pay 7 life doesn't really do anything.
I'm assuming in white blue you've got real no way to get that back from the graveyard. That's gone for good.
No, that's gone now. Yeah. So we chump, which is never really a winning strategy.
Do you have like a Day of Judgment? Anything that could?
I don't have anything that can catch up on this board. I kind of give up at this point because you still play it out, but
If you know
this was my route to victory.
Yeah, you know your deck well enough to know that you don't really have a way out.
I've got lots of small flying creatures which aren't going to help me claw back from being behind. I want to be out in head and press my advantage with that kind of a deck.
This is an example of that not happening.
It doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Who else did you play on Friday?
I played Connor and David.
What were they on?
Oh,
Testing your memory here.
it is testing my memory. I think those games went reasonably well for me. I think Connor was on Blue-White X because he had the rare or mythic Blue-White flyer that when you play a spell you can make a 1/1.
Or flicker something?
Or flicker something, but he made 1/1s with it. That gave me a lot of problems because it was just bigger than all of my little flyers.
Of course.
But then the mythic won me that.
That makes sense.
Broke the
Prince
stalemate on
format.
that, yes. But my deck, when it's doing what it wants to do, is sort of curve out, attack in the air. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter what my opponent's doing, but it doesn't matter as much in other types of decks. If I get to curve out and kill you with flyers,
So Liam's banishing lightning you here, but it doesn't really matter because you're
It's kind of trivial now. This game is over, yeah.
Well, hopefully game 3 fares better for you, Adam.
Let's see. Let's find out. Okay, hello and welcome back to game 3. I've mulliganed again, so this is a 6-land hand, 6-card hand in game 3. Liam's kept his 7. I'm quite happy with my hand. I've got a 1-2-3 curve out, so hopefully that'll be good enough on the play.
Why do you bottom the Kafar Commando?
Because I think he'd played, in both other games, the 1/1 cat that draws
Help
a card,
cards.
and other things that just mean that the 3/1 on the ground just doesn't really get in very well.
Makes sense. And you haven't seen many artifacts or enchantments apart from banishing light you want to get
I've
rid
seen a
of.
banishing light, which I would trade for, but I still think I'd rather just try and curve out with flyers and try and win the game that way.
That makes sense. Which you're doing really, really well here.
Yeah, managed to hit my 3rd land on turn 3 to put
Nice.
a counter on the Youthful Valkyrie.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Oh, I remember the card. Liam leads with his Nessian, and
Which
Yes.
you can't do anything about your flyers.
no, I can just keep flying it over the top and hope to win that way.
So this is a pretty good board state for you. I feel like this you must
I
feel
feel confident. I feel confident here.
Oh, you only have 2 cards on hand.
That bit I'm less happy about, but it does mean that I've deployed a lot of my cards on board. I know I'm going to be down 2 cards because I'm on the play and I've mulliganed. Liam plays a removal spell here. This doesn't feel like the end of the world now. He's bound to have some kind of interaction. I've still got 3 power in the air.
Felling Blow, Llanowar Elves.
So attack again in for 3. I'm just hoping that Liam doesn't have too much to follow up with. Play Maluta.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think about whether to play the land or keep it in hand, and I think if I remember I could decide to play the land. I do have the Spectral Sailor that costs 4 mana to draw a card, so I do need at least 4 mana in play.
The logic behind keeping it in hand would be so you could loot next turn and
That's
discard
exactly,
it.
yeah. I was thinking about keeping it to loot it away, because I don't need a 3rd white, but I do need 4 mana.
So another thing I was thinking about asking you, Adam, is you've said in the past that you think this format is like a Prince format, meaning that the rares and mythics are more important than the cards you open at common and uncommon.
Yes.
Watching these games, when you played your 7-mana Mythic Bomb, which was really powerful but got destroyed immediately,
It wasn't
these
that
games
powerful, that
seem
game.
to be highlighting the power of the commons and uncommons a lot more.
Yeah, but I think both of our decks are quite strong on just utilising commons and uncommons. And I think it's important to think about, if you're going to continually play a format while it's available, is to think about that format and how the value of cards change over time and how the interactions change. Even though the card pool is the same, how you utilise it can change, and you have to keep your mind open to the fact that your initial assessments might just be wrong.
I do generally agree with you about it being a Prince format though, but I just thought it was interesting. And
Oh, I agree. I mean, I don't think we see all that much in the way of rares, especially if you compare this to the last match where Liam and I played,
just
which was just rares everywhere.
yeah. So you give your Strix Lookout the Fleeting Flight, has flying already, but it means you get to kill the Llanowar Elves and keep your bird alive.
Yeah, I thought it takes some potentially off a bit of mana,
Yep, and also just a body.
and it utilises
If
my
you're
mana on
flying
my
every
turn.
and he's
Yeah, I want to increase my clock in the air.
Makes sense. You still feeling confident though at this point in the game?
I think at this point I still am, because now I've got 5 power in the air and he's got
Yeah.
no flying blockers. He does have a 2/3 lifelink though, which isn't great. That kind of nullifies
Messes
one
the
of my
clock.
attackers. Yeah.
So you decide to main phase activate the Strix Lookout to discard and draw a card. Why did you do that instead of doing it at instant speed?
Because I have 2 mana and I have a lot of cheap cards, and I was thinking if I could draw something that I can play this turn, it's more mana efficient.
That makes sense.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Leave a comment if what do you think, which is the right or wrong thing to do, but that was my rationale at the time.
I have no strong opinions either way, just thought I'd ask.
No, it's good, yeah. Liam, killing the Llanowar Elves doesn't seem to have slowed down Liam's mana.
No, not at all. And you seem to be flooding out a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm
which is
sure
a
you were very
shame.
disappointed seeing that land off the draw discard.
I was really hoping to loot into a spell, as I said, a spell I could even play the same turn. Would have been ideal.
So this is another felling blow on the Nessian Horn Beetle, killing your looter. I think probably the best thing to kill when you're when
I think
he
so,
sees you
when he
digging.
can see that I'm digging, and also it's just a 2/3 vigilance fly. It's probably one of the better creatures on the board anyway.
Now it's worth noting here that Liam has just put a counter on the Nessian Horn Beetle, which he shouldn't have done, because Nessian Horn Beetle says if another creature has power 4 or greater, the only creature he has that has power 4 or greater is the Beetle. Now becoming a 5/5. Unfortunately, this is a mistake that is repeated over the next couple of turns, but it's easy to misread cards.
Well, it's important. Actually, it's good that you say that, because I think it's not so much of a misread, but a misremembering of cards.
Okay.
I think it's a good lesson for me that even if I think I know what a card does, because as we said earlier, I remember this card from the format it was in prior, it doesn't mean that I remember the exact wording of the card, and there's no reason why you can't just pick up a card and read it.
I mean, again, it's a bit like me with Progenitus. I remember it being a 10/10 protection of everything. I should have read it before I drafted it.
Yeah, so, reading the card explains the card, as we like to say in Magic. And here, this feels like this slams the door shut on the game. I'm flooding, I've had my looter taken away, Liam's got a lifelinker, now he just plays a big mythic.
Takes away Dazzling Angel.
Yeah, it's all down here from here. So perhaps if Liam hadn't been putting counters on his Nessian, I might have had an extra turn, but this feels like a very difficult game to win from this position, whether or not the Nessian has a...
Is that your 7/7 in hand?
Yeah, I've got it again.
And not enough.
But I don't really want it at this point, because if my only play is like a 7-drop, what do I want to do? Draw 2 lands for the next 2 turns.
Yeah.
But if I don't draw lands, I'm never going to cast it. So it really doesn't look like it's going to help me at all, this game.
No, unfortunately, I have to agree with you there.
Maybe it's not a good fit for the deck. Maybe it would have been better to have been just another cheap threat, but I felt like I couldn't leave it on the sidelines.
Yeah, makes sense.
Too strong not to play.
When it works.
When it works, it's great.
Right?
When it works, it's fantastic.
So the Narad Colony here, giving trample to Venetian Beetle is really what's killing you. It's stopping you from jump blocking.
But even then, jump blocking isn't a winning line, as we said in the previous game.
But
it's
it
just
give you time to draw into the lands.
It can do. But with the Planeswalker on board, it's going to be difficult to come back. So very well played from Liam.
Looks like he stole back the win that you got.
He did.
Last time.
Honours are even now, so I'm going to have to take him down in a third. It's a limited match.
2 weeks from today, Liam versus Adam again.
We'll see.
Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for playing Magic.
We'll see you next week for Dual Commander.